There we go. So we know we're being recorded now. So yeah, we'll look at that, and we'll look as well. There is a relationship a little bit between the meta model and the symbolic language. So yeah, man, I tell you what, and there's no way to disable the thing now in Zoom. We've had it for the work version of Zoom for ages, but like on this, this is just like, it's just horrendous. And I think, and I'm not sure, but I believe that it actually records that announcement with the Zoom recording. So at the end of it, we'll get the video, but it wants to record that there. So it kind of scuppers my plan. What I like doing with my sessions with clients, when they were having like a little 5-minute closed eye thing, I would just record that to get the audio for them. So they had like a 5-minute like little tailored gift with some symbolic language in there. And there's no way I can do that now. Because, you know, the moment he's like, this meeting is being recorded, it just, you know, but anyway, I'm sure there's reasons why that's been done, but we know it's happening. So so yeah, what we'll do today is we'll look at the 6th of the Cialdinis, then we'll go and get some practice. But in a couple of weeks' time, I'll start looking at some, you know, find out from you guys. I mean, I'm happy for you guys to find out how you want to use it, but we can bring back we'll start introducing some of the models that you can use for change in different areas. So you can start bringing, you know, we can start taking them a bit more and using them. I will put together a little list as well of some of the core recordings that you can go back to, at least from these last few weeks as well. But, you know, we've got a solid foundation now, which is what we're building here, of how to ask the questions. You know, you understand now the power of the ritual, and the way that you ask these questions is what makes all the difference. All right. And that's really the core thing. Once you understand that the communication's happening unconsciously through the way you use your voice, then you're really onto something. Hey, hi Sergio, great to see you. It kind of looks like, Sergio, you got kind of like I don't know, like a really kind of like warm hat on. So
Cool. Cold being in Australia.
Right, okay. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us, Sergio.
That's good to be here.
Yeah, no, it's really great to see you. I know you were up late yesterday as well, so thank you for taking the time. So look, before we get going, has anyone got any wins or anything they want to ask, or you know, about symbolic language, or about the just about using the tonalities? I'm going to put in the a link to the document again, the Google Doc, because otherwise we'll jump in. But anyone got anything they want to kind of ask or bring up?
I just have a comment, if I may.
Yeah, go for it, Gaspar.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say, you know, the symbol from the last time, the fist that you gave me with the wall combined.
Yes.
I think that it sticked with me so much. I remember this picture so often, and it's really helpful. You know, when I'm distressed or something, it's amazing. And it was like 3-minute session, you know, but it's crazy how efficient that is. So I wanted to just to make a comment on that, and actually to thank you, because yeah, it helped me a lot last week, and I'm sure it will continue to do so.
Yeah, Gaspar, I love that. Let me ask you, what kind of helpful is this helpful when crazy and efficient?
I think that when I'm doubting myself, or when I think I'm overwhelmed, this picture comes to mind with the fist, like the fist of a Superman that goes through the wall, you know, and it just crushes the wall, and it's so energizing. It's crazy. Yeah.
And when it goes through, and when it energizing and crushes wall and all of that, then what happens?
I feel calmer.
You feel calmer.
Yeah.
And when you feel calmer like this,
Mm.
You are a bit like
I'm like, I think it has something to do with believing in myself. I just believe in myself. Yeah, I'll go through this.
yes, yes, and believing in self and energized and go through this. And when believing in yourself like this, that could look a little bit like
Like lifting a very heavy weight. I don't know if that's the right expression, but you know, this in
yes,
fitness, you are lifting
yes, yes,
some really heavy weights.
and lifting and heavy and weight. And when lifting like this, how do you feel?
Strong.
And strong. And how do you know that you feel strong inside when lifting like this?
I feel I'm in touch with my body. It's like my mind and my body cooperates, and it's the feeling in my muscles and the freshness in my mind. I think clarity in my mind.
Clarity and freshness
Mm.
and strong. So really take some time now, Gasper, to get to know a strong like this when fresh and clarity and energizing and all of that and weight. Take all the time you need to really get to know a freshness like this, clarity. And I'll talk elsewhere. And you know, for those, hi Anna, lovely to see you. Welcome. Um, for those of you who've done like the, how by the way, how are you doing, Gasper?
Yeah, it's great. You know, I just saw another view that I recognized because
Yes.
I already been there in my symbolic world. So it's really funny how those things are combining and getting more powerful each time I'm
Yes. Yes.
doing them.
Yes. Yeah. So and correct me if I'm wrong because this may already have happened anyway. But could weight, when lifting weight and strong and energized, could weight lifting like this be interested in going to fist?
It's kind of, you know, that the fist doesn't need the weights because it's just so powerful. I can't even tell you. It's such a powerful image. The weight is just like flying away like a boomerang.
Yes.
It's so funny. It's like
Awesome.
unstoppable. Yeah.
Unstoppable.
Really. Yeah.
Awesome. Unstoppable and energizing and all of that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what difference does all of this make, Gasper?
I feel like I cemented those images even more right now in myself. So
yeah. Good job.
I feel like there will be more there for me when I need it, when I will need them. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. More there. There's more energizing, which means you've got more. Which means there's more to lift. You know, and
Yes.
more to and more power to break through.
Exactly.
Nice. Good job.
And the view, you know, it's the lake and
Yep.
the animals.
Oh, yeah.
So it's funny.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I can imagine. And yeah, and lake and animals and waterfall.
Exactly.
Mm,
Now it is. It wasn't there before you mentioned it, but yeah,
mm,
it is now.
yeah. And how does that feel?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really nice.
Yeah, awesome. So really take some time to enjoy that because you know that well, it's cemented everything in,
Mm,
and the view looks pretty good from here.
yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It does. Great job. I'm enjoying the view as well. I think it's brilliant. I'm taking some time to enjoy it as well.
Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you,
yeah,
Gaspar. Thank you for
yeah.
sharing. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, hi, Sergio.
Hi, Richard. So I had a good win last yesterday when I was running my symbolic. There was a new uni student that turned up, and I just said a few things, and he seemed to go. It went deep every time, and I couldn't get him back. I didn't know whether he was sleeping or in trance, but he eventually was in trance, and he got a very powerful thing, and he seemed to transform his whole life. So that was good. From constantly persisting and doing these things.
Yep.
Sometimes with few words, you get people go really deep and have really powerful changes.
Lovely. Well done, Sergio. And because you're running a symbolic language session as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
Remind me what time that runs?
Well, I know my time. My time, it's 7 p.m. So I think it's 5 a.m. your time.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's every on Sundays. Yep.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, that's good. So that folk know there's another one depending on their time zone. But Sergio, how did that feel then to do that and see that result?
It's good to see the result at the end. During it, I wasn't sure whether he was sleeping or not. So, but it was good at the end when he came back and everything was positive and he just kept going further and further. Every time I said anything, he'd go deeper.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. And you were getting a metaphor and deepening that kind of like taking him through like a little kind of his own little journey?
Yeah, just doing this or just trying to do the 60-second generative, which went for 40 minutes.
Nice. Awesome. Great job. Well, look, you can see how this is. We could just, like Gasper could spend all day bathing in his place now, but the thing is, we got that last week from like 3 minutes just when we were just demoing like a little tonality. We were just demoing a little bit of a tonality. No big deal. But these things, those small things make such a big difference. And that's why I think, one of the things we can do when we look after, and Patrick mentioned about looking at things like the meta model and stuff, and there's lots of things we can look at, but I think finding some ways to help people, if you've got the core tools, like basically how to use your voice and the ritual, then working to give people little gifts in 3 to 5 minute things can be super, super powerful. And then on the back of that, you can just deepen it, scalable then. But if you only had 3 minutes with someone, you can still change their life or make a massive difference. And then otherwise, then sometimes, when you have longer time, like you say, Sergio, you can really deepen that and just keep evolving it.
Yeah, it's using their words and the pauses and slowing down is the thing that really makes a difference to people. Because you could tell I was using his words, but it just kept sending him deeper and deeper.
Yeah. No, definitely. I just came off a call actually. So I was being coached, and I had a huge breakthrough, and there was a lot of emotion. And the funny thing was, from that point on, all I needed to do was just be told, you know what, take all the time you need. I'd have quite happily sat there without another word for 15 minutes just to integrate everything. Because when it's coming up, when they're there, just give people time. That's when we did Igor and I recorded the coaching program a while back, we were like talking about what's coaching, and it's another way to think of this, which is assisted mindfulness, right? but you can't get to that place of being more mindful unless you have time to appreciate where you are and savor it. And I know, Sergio, from having worked with you, you are a master at giving people time to process and really be in that.
Thanks. And he also said just telling him to enjoy it any way he wanted to sent him even further, because he could just release things that he was holding on to.
Yep. That's it. That's it. It's a great permission. And you know, I know as hypnotists, sometimes there's a desire to try and fill the space with a whole, you know, blitz, but you don't have to. And once somebody's in that space, giving them permission to go and do that and take that time is very, very powerful. You know, so the more comfortable you can be with those kind of silences for long periods of time, the more the person will have really time to process and internalize the change.
Yes, as long as they don't fall asleep, because it was 11 p.m. in his time, and I was afraid that he, because the sounds that were coming from him, I didn't know whether he was asleep or in trance. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's no big deal, but no, I get you on that. Well, great job, Sergio. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, thanks, Richard.
You're welcome. So look, I really, you know, we're a little sort of an impromptu moment there, but you can see the power of this, and we'll look at some other ways in which we can expand out from this. But honestly, you don't need to. It can happen very quickly. You can have real wonderful things with people, particularly once they feel comfortable with the process, you know, and you've got good rapport, and you know that, and you've kind of done, should we say, your trance training, you know, with them. They're very used to, they're used to kind of answering a question and going there, and then, you know, you don't need a lot. You know, the unconscious will provide that for you. So today I just wanted to just introduce the 6th of the Cialdinis, and I put a little link to a document there. Just for anyone who hasn't been here, all we're doing is we're just looking at some different tonalities that you can use to be able to make it more powerful and more reliable for you to be able to ask the basic symbolic language questions. All right. And the reason's this, that there's a big difference between saying, you know, when you are at your best, you are like, and saying, when you're at your best, you are like, right? One doesn't give a person, somebody can answer, and in the kind of the clean language version of asking a question, you just say, so when you're at your best, you're like, you know, you're like what? Well, a person may or may not be able to answer that easily. And probably what you'll get is a more conscious, I mean, they will answer, but it may well be a much more conscious answer. And what we want is an unconscious answer. So the way to frame that is emotionally, is for you to be able to get the type of H plus, tune into the type of H plus that's going to be most useful for the other person. And what we're doing here is we've developed some avatars, and you know, and all these recordings are there for the last sort of, you know, 5 or 6 weeks. Some avatars that help express different types of emotion that will create very consistently a response in the other person. Okay, and we've modeled these on the 7 Cialdinis. And so we are, and these are just the core influence principles. Okay, and it doesn't matter about them, you know, it's doesn't matter whether you know all about those. Yes. Next week they will introduce you to a new one. So I've still got to read that chapter and come up with an avatar. So I've got some homework this week. Oh, the pressure. So I should put on that Queen and David Bowie song as I'm reading it and go through, and then that'll inspire me. So to come back and think of something that we can have for unity. But I think I'm sure we can. I'm sure we can come up with something. But the idea is just to have something that will easily let us be able to ask the questions more elegantly and be efficient. Like we're saying, 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Now we've got the fist, goes to the wall with certainty and energized. Exactly. And a beautiful view. That's the thing. It's about the view. So we'll do that. And then after we've done that, we'll start looking at for other areas, but you'll have a really, really powerful toolkit. I mean, I have to tell you, these tonalities are the ones that we use for consultations, and they're ones I use in day-to-day life, and it has been the most powerful influence tool bar none. I mean, because to be able to use those tonalities, you've got to feel it inside first. So you're automatically becoming more in the present moment. You're more consciously choosing the type of way that you want to communicate, and you'll get better results. Remember, Chris Voss only really uses two main tonalities in his stuff, and he gets wonderful results. You know, he's amazing. You have to stay upbeat, you know, and cheerful as you're chatting, and then if somebody's having a meltdown, then just shift to a calmer tone of voice. All right, and we can use that in the symbolic language. You know, somebody's like, you ask a question, somebody's feel a little bit under pressure. So when you are at your best, you are like, you can calm everything down. In fact, I'd probably switch to what we looked at before, the reasonable man, if somebody's having a little bit of difficulty. So when you're at your best, it's like, and we're signaling that it's no big deal. Coming up with a metaphor is easy and straightforward. The sixth Cialdini, the one I just kind of mentioned this week, just having your awareness, is consistency. And that's basically the idea of that. The consistency is, you know, consistency and commitment. Once you essentially commit to something, or you say publicly that you're going to follow through with someone, you're more likely to stick with that, which is why having an accountability partner can be very useful. There's lots of elements to consistency and commitment, but we do have a deep drive to be consistent, and you know, and the avatar for this is the action man. Now, feel free to label that or change that or frame that however you want, but you know, in essence, the idea is I'm not going to waste your time. Okay. In fact, I'll pop it in the chat. Let me go and do that. The idea is I'm not going to waste your time. Okay. You know, it expresses this idea of I won't waste your time. I do what I say. Let's get this done. Let's get right down to business. Okay. I'll get right to the point. Now, that kind of energy that's expressed in that, you know, okay, I'll get right to the point, can be very useful for us. What we'll do at the end is we can look at say the 60-second sort of stuff, and we can go through that. We can look at different variations of tonalities that we're using there. But there will be times when you can you know, you can do that, even if it's just to transition into your sessions. Okay, right, that's great. You know, and we can even look at how to do that smoothing. That's great. Now, okay, let's get right to the point. Know you're here today. I know you really want to get something done. I know you're looking forward to making a big change. So when you're ready, I just want you to close your eyes now. When you're at your best, you are like, now you can try it with that, you know, depending on the type of person who you're with. There'll be some people who that's going to work, it's going to work really well with, or you can go, look, when you're at your best, you are like, so you can play around with this. If you need to be a little bit more upbeat, or a little bit stronger with the type of person who you're with, so they're really so they know it's time to absolutely pay attention. You can start off even past the way you're asking it. When you're at your best, you are like, and then switch to reasonable man. You can start off with, when you are at your best, you are like what? So you could switch around. You could have a reasonable man at the beginning. You can have you can have consistency and commitment later on, if you wanted to. Now, I typically wouldn't use that there, but I might use it if somebody is if we're in a session and maybe say with the action or projection questions where somebody's getting a little bit, they just need a little bit of extra energy, okay, to keep things moving, okay. So you know, you can use you know, when that happens, then what happens? So you can stay very kind of like either mystery man, or you can stay in a kind of reasonable tone of voice, or you could shift to when that happens, then what happens? All right. If you need to amp up the energy, there are different scales of which you can do that. For some people, it's going to be really, really helpful for them to subcommunicate. Let's get down to business. All right. This symbol is ready to transform. And this symbol is going to transform now comfortably and easily. So it's helpful to have that there. It's probably going to be one you're going to use a little bit more judiciously, okay, than some of the others. I mean, I tend to probably naturally use more the social energy. Yeah, of course you want to enjoy symbolic language. Who wouldn't? I'm going to use a lot of reasonable man to make it no big deal for people to get things out. I'm definitely going to use the mystery man to keep people interested and curious as they're going through their process. And but the action man can be very, very useful. Let's say you're doing a debrief at the end, and you say to somebody, so you know, so what do you know now that you didn't know before? And say, oh, I feel amazing. Okay, so you feel amazing. What difference does that make in your life? All right, I'm really kind of like, let's, you know, I really want them to get that sense of, you know, that something's happened there. When that happens, then what happens? And for some people, that's going to be really, really helpful to keep them going. For other people, you can be a lot more, you can be a lot softer. And when that happens, then what happens? But the thing is, if you've got that range there, then it's not as though you're necessarily focused on you only do one tonality. You will have different gradations of it. But with the vocal variety there, we've had this conversation before, and we discovered this last year when Gasper and I and others actually were drilling like how to ask at the end the debrief after you've done a symbolic session, to go through and say to someone, how can you ask them 6 times? What difference does that make? And Gasper's smiling because we were like, man, asking the same question twice, we got some sweat. Asking it 3 times, I'm like, man, and we're saying, well, I'm going to make myself ask it 6 times, and we're like nearly falling off the chair, you know. But the thing is, you can just ask it with a different tonality, you know, and experiment with the effect it has, yeah. So you know, what difference does that make? I'll just say, yeah, I'll come just 1 sec. You'll need. So what difference does that make if you're a reasonable man? What difference does that make? If you're going more to liking, to the good friend. If you want to go, yeah, if you're going to social life, so what difference does all of this make? All right, that's a lovely one to use. What difference does this make? You're like, of course it makes a difference. It's like, look, we've just gone on and your favorite book has just been reduced by like, like 90% in price. In fact, they're basically giving it away for free. And they're giving you an ice cream to go. Of course you wanna tell us what's happening. It's a really powerful one to use at this point. You've got the wise mentor, the authority there. So what difference does this make? Okay, you're experiencing complete sincerity. That's terrible. I've said that because next to my office, unfortunately, is the entrance to the garage that has a big freezer in, and there were a lot of pandemic stocks in there. And I will tell you, some of those were they were non-perishable goods. So I wasn't. The supplies are dwindling now, but that wasn't really the healthiest thing, because it's kind of on my way to the bathroom, or if I might just pop in for something random. So what difference does that make? Well, let me tell you, it means I have to do a fair bit of exercise extra to remedy that. So yeah, so then we've got what difference does all that make? Okay, so we could have the mystery map. So what difference does all of that make? Okay, and then I've got we've got the action map. So what difference does that make? What difference does all of this make? And it can be very, very useful to help somebody who's there, because what will happen at the end of your sessions, that debrief, that's why the smaller cycles can be really useful, because the debrief cycle is where the conscious mind is catching up with all the stuff that's happening unconsciously. And it's basically obliterating any doubt that absolutely that change has happened. So you can run those in little cycles where you go through them, and what difference does that make? And then you can go back for another symbol, and you can go through another journey, and then bring them back, and then do that debrief again. So I hope that gives you a flavour of that. I think, like I say, we'll probably use the Action Man a little bit more judiciously than some of the other ones, but it's still really helpful for you to have that avatar there for completeness. And who knows what will happen when we incorporate the one next week, because that doesn't even exist yet. So when we've got an avatar for that, let's see what we can make happen with that, because it may just be the fist starts going through mountains, so Yoni, over to you.
Yeah, hi. So I just wanted to reinforce what you were saying about the and what difference does that make? That question has been unbelievable for clients that have no words, for clients that have no language. They have no way of expressing what they're feeling or what's going on inside of them. And when they're able to get that one word or that one little symbol, that just starts opening up everything. And to ask that question over and over and over again just gets them so deep and so deep. And I found myself, I don't even know which man I'm going into, but the deeper they're going, the quieter my voice is getting, and like they're just going deeper and deeper and deeper. So it's just been super powerful. So yeah. Thanks.
Hey Yoni, that's wonderful to hear, and I really and you can use this at the beginning of your sessions, by the way, as well. So we'll look at that, how we can flip that round to use that at the beginning, because if somebody comes in and says, look, I've got this outcome, you can say, okay, we can get a value for it. So, well, what difference, basically, okay, it sounds like this is really important to you. What difference will having this make for you? Okay. And when you have that, what difference will that make? All right. But it sounds like that's really allowed your clients to go deep into it, really go in and really get something powerful out of it. What difference has that made? Let me ask you, Yoni, what difference has that made to the way that you work and the results that you've seen in people?
Changes happen so fast. When working with a client, I'm just thinking, I have a client that I met 80 sessions. And this client was talking about something that he is just like I mentioned a few times for a few weeks and just like kind of going round robin over and over and over again. And when this came to me to ask him this question about what would happen, like, to ask him one of these questions, he didn't really know how to answer it. But I'm just like, just give me a symbol, just give me anything. And the second he gave me something, that was already something to grab hold on to, to hold on to. And then bam, that was already, and then from then it just started, things just started flowing because he kind of was forced to come up with an answer. And then slowly things just started like, click, 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 and things started moving for him. So I see the change happening for clients very, very fast when I feel confident enough to use it. And when that happens, they just go with the flow. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. And Yoni, what kind of flow is a flow like this?
It's like this like constant like stream of trying to find the words for this. I guess of honesty and emotion. That's what I found with them. The deeper they go, that's what it is. The deeper they go, the walls and all the insecurities start falling away,
Mhm.
and they're going deeper into truth, and a lot more emotion comes out, which is getting to really why they're coming to therapy in the first place.
Mm. Awesome.
Mm.
Stream and flow and honesty and deeper. Mm. And when stream is like this and flow, then what happens?
Picturing like a whitewater raft,
Mhm.
going down a very intense river.
Mm. Mm. So we just take a moment to sit with that, Yoni. And whitewater raft and river and stream and all of that and deeper. Take all the time you need to sit with that. And so the thing is, remember with I'll just talk elsewhere for a moment. Remember that although we're asking for the metaphors and the symbols, people are using them all the time. So we can just pick up on something naturally as it comes. So if somebody presents flow or wall or something like that, they've got it there. And you can, in your mind, if you picture it as real, as a physical thing, then you have something wonderful to work with. And so you can literally just, jump on that, or you can use it, or you can log that in your mind. Or if you're working in a more Ericksonian way, you can just weave that in. If we were doing some Ericksonian stuff now, we have all the components there. We've got a white water raft, we've got stream, we've got a wonderful flow, deeper, and and so it's very, very easy to, this is a way that really connects to people's experience very, very powerfully. So Yoni, thank you so much for sharing. Awesome. Awesome. It's so lovely to hear how you guys are using this in your life and experiencing it. So look, what I want to do is I want to give you a few minutes at least to practice. So I'll let you guys go. I'll pop you in some rooms now. Okay. We've got the 60-second things in there. So don't worry, go whichever way you can. I think, let me just see, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So that's cool. Let me set out 3 rooms. Okay. Patrick's going to stay here anyway because he's traveling. He's kind of like listening in. So I'll assign you guys now so that you can go and have some fun together. And yeah, and if you want to use any of these, if you want to use any of the just practice with the tonalities, don't worry about trying to use them any particular one or whatever, but just if you feel inspired and motivated to throw 1 or 2 in them, don't be afraid to exaggerate it and just see what happens. And yeah, just have some fun. So go and do that now, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.
How much time have we got?
You got about 15 minutes, Sergio.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, welcome back, guys. So how you all doing? I know we're on the hour, and some of you will have to scoot anyway. So so that's super cool. But anyone, I can see some smiles. Everyone enjoy themselves, have some fun. Yeah, I think there might be something to this hypnotic symbolic language. Nice. Anyone want to share any of their any experiences or little insights or learnings today?
Yeah, I'll share.
Yeah, go for it.
So I was paired up with Sergio, and this was the first time he and I have worked together. But his tonality and his pace was just perfect to allow me to just go deep and come up with symbols. And I love the questions that he was asking because everything just seemed to flow so well.
Beautiful.
And lead me from one point to another, very, very systematically. And then when he had given me time to really just, process what was happening, I kind of had like a dark, like something like dark, like a vision happen, but he still gave me the space to process it. And then whatever positive symbol that I had toward the end kind of like washed over that.
Yep.
So like I was nervous like where this was going to go, but then like I kind of just had to like, I don't know, I kind of just had to sit with it for a bit and just be okay with what was happening. But Sergio was really great. Thank you, Sergio. That was really, really a very, very awesome experience.
Cool.
And I'm feeling good.
Fantastic.
I'm feeling very, very relaxed right now. So thank you.
Awesome. Yoni, that's wonderful to hear. Thank you for sharing. Sergio, great job.
Yes, thank you. It was nice to work with you, Yanni.
Yeah. And Sergio is a master. If you want to see someone who's not afraid to take their time and in asking the questions, Sergio takes it to a whole new level. And depending on who you're working with, somebody who likes to process systematically, really take their time. That's great, and that's why when I asked you the questions earlier, Yoni, you can see for those watching you, just even asking about flow, you immediately you'll go in and you can see the changes, either eyes closing or looking at, but really taking time to connect inside. And so there's no rush with any of this. Some people will just come straight away. I'll give a symbol straight away, but once once the feeling's there, but once you know, you're basically holding that space and acknowledging the other person by letting them go at their own rate. And it's still super quick anyway. It's just that some people it's going to be a few seconds. For other people, it might be a little bit longer, and either way is fine. Absolutely fine. So beautiful, great job, great job. And how about you, Leszek? How are you? How just before we wrap, how are you doing? Everything good? Anything you want to share?
Yes, it was a very nice call and very nice practice with Gasper. And I noticed that different people have different abilities to create these symbols. Maybe this is not abilities to create, but maybe all of us has this ability, and sometimes we can just easily notice this ability to notice this symbolism is special, and it came to my mind for a symbol, and I wanted to reject this, but I know that it can be this. This can be this because it is the first idea that I had. So, and it was like primed by Gasper, because Gasper said about faith, said about maybe something different, but when you practice something, it's like it seems like a smooth path, and like priming one step to another and another when you are in trance. I experienced this, so this is nice. And I focused only on one type of Cialdini's voice. It was this last voice. This is I don't remember. Action, yes.
Yes.
And I was a little bit afraid, but with Gasper,
Yes.
no problems.
Yeah.
You can use any voice you want.
Yes. Well, and that's the beauty of this. We actually learned these to be able to communicate more, like say on the like on a sales call or consultation. But what happened was I started using them naturally for bedtime stories and meetings all over the place, and then just in regular conversations, because it adds more vocal variety anyway.
Right.
You can go to excitement, you can go to mystery, you can go to it's no big deal. Someone comes in and says, "Oh, I just knocked over some milk on the side of the kitchen." Oh, okay, it's no big. It's oh, okay, yeah, we got spillage. Oh, it's okay. All right. So you can quickly communicate and add massive value to any situation. Whereas if you use the wrong tonality, if you go, "Oh, it's no big deal. It doesn't matter. It's knocked over." Right. Right. Unfortunately, and this is, and we were talking about this, Patrick and I, before, but the main miscommunication, and more often than not now I observe between people, is in the tonality, the emotional framing of that. And so when you have the ability, even if you just have the ability to switch from going in normal, upbeat and positive to calm, if something's happening, it's no big deal. Yeah. Look, I know it's spilt, and we totally want to make sure things are clean. Absolutely, I get you. We'll take care of it. If you just have the ability to go calm like that, you'll naturally find a lot of reasonable man coming through. But that calmness is the message that gets communicated. So the real communication that comes through is, it's no big deal, everything's okay, you're okay.
Yeah.
And
last comment from me is, so I used a lot friendly person voice, and it was hard to break rapport and just end conversation. And I was
Yes.
good at it. I spent hours with my client in court because they wanted to conversate with me, and I wanted to conversate with them. And with this tonality of action man is what I noticed, that when I use I learned it, and now when I want to switch and end this call, and not this call, end this conversation, it's like an action man. So
Yes.
what's next? And oh, it's done.
Yep.
It's okay. Yeah. So how
Yep.
do you feel now?
Yep.
It is a good place to stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
They
Absolutely.
say this. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. It's beautiful, isn't it? And,
Yeah.
yeah, that's wonderful. And that's it. We will add in. I'll come back to this, and I'll pick up on your point when we're going through the tonalities, different ways you can use them. But if you use that with the transition words like now, or look, or listen, or so, you can be having a great chat, and then you pause and get so. Okay, let's get down to business. And as long as it's the transitional single word and the phrase make it smooth, so you're not kind of like and you're automatically doing this, so that you don't so you don't sort of go, so oh, it's brilliant, yeah, we're having a great chat, so let's get down to business. All right, it's not that. It's not like, oh, I'm having a brilliant time here, I'm really enjoying chatting, let's get down to business. All right, it's like, ah, this is fantastic, I'm really having a great time here. So let's get down to business. All right. So now the pause, and then that marks what that's doing is that's in a conversation, that's telling the unconscious mind we're about to shift gears. We're going somewhere different. Get ready. Yeah. And you're exactly right. And it's really important. And in that way, you can help other people, because the worst, we've all had it where we're having a great conversation with somebody, but it has to end at some point, but we don't quite know when to do it. So it's a nice way to do that elegantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's such a great gift that we can give to other people. We can help things smooth, we can help them feel good, we can communicate care and attention, and we can have those, we can move to, wherever we need to go to elegantly and comfortably. And so
Richard, can you tell for the second time these words? So,
sure.
Look.
Sure. Yeah, we've got look, listen, so, now. There's another good one as well.
Okay.
All right. And those sort of transition words, those little transition phrases are super, super powerful. In fact, there's about 6 really. So we've got okay, we've got well, is another one. So, now, look, listen, and it's quite can be useful as well. So you can do it in the same way, So, it's fantastic, I'm having a great time. Well, let's get down to business.
This is. Do I understand this well? So this is change of pace of communication.
Yes.
So
you got
we
it.
get down to business now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. These are, if you remember, like this is basically the shortcut way to do the transitions, to do your transitions, so that you can get anywhere. So, because you can be chatting with somebody and they've mentioned something which is a great resource, and you want to get back to that resource. And they've talked about being happy, but they're going on and stuff. So You mentioned something earlier about being happy. Well, now, if you recall, earlier we were talking about happy. All right, so it's a wonderful way, and in fact, actually, we use this on if we're doing, just to give you another wider frame for this, on this kind of a sales calls. If you are doing a two-step sales call, you have an appointment with somebody, and then you set up a main, where you get some basic information, or you've spoken with them very briefly. On the second call, one way to revivify that is using the mystery man. Hey, hi Bob. Hi Bob, it's Richard here from the Richard Haggerty Hypnosis Clinic. How are you doing today? Great. Bob, now, if you recall, a few days ago we spoke about the easy way to quit smoking for good without any problems at all and have all the willpower that you could ever muster. Sound like something, something, I mean, and then you can just literally go on from there. Does that ring a bell? All right, so now into the reasonable now. Does that ring a bell? Okay, so if you're going to do that, if you're going to do that kind of start to revivify those experiences, so basically after you revivify the experiences, you mentioned this and you mentioned that, and we were talking about this, so you're going to start going to a little revivification there. But if you want to do that, that'll be different from saying, if you recall, we were speaking a few days ago, which is the way that typically people would do it if they were reading off a script, or if they're trying to influence somebody. All right. But listen to the difference in, if you recall, we were speaking a few days ago to now. If you recall, a few days ago, we were speaking about the easy way to quit smoking and stay a non-smoker with no problems at all the willpower that you need. Does that ring a bell? So again, you can see that it's the pacing and the tonality and the pauses that are there. But those transition words are really, really powerful. And what they'll do is they will allow you to use any of these tonalities in your conversation and to be able to shift it wherever you need to go with respect. It's a very, very, very efficient way to do it. Super, super efficient way.
Right.
So, guys, I had a wonderful time with you here today. I love you turning up everywhere. It's always so inspiring here. We're going to discover an avatar next week for Unity and be clear on what the heck that is. And then once we've got that, we've got these we'll have these tonalities, but with all the different flavors in between them. And don't worry if you haven't heard me the last few weeks, there are recordings in the school of all of those. And also, honestly, we will come back to these because the ability to use the symbolic language, once you've got once you're adding in pauses and you're really taking your time and feeding things back, and you're just varying your voice to match the emotion of the other person. If you need a little bit more energy, it goes up a little bit. If you need to help move on, and if they're processing a lot of stuff, then you can switch it down so it's calmer and gentler. But you've got the range. You've got the full range of stuff there. That's what you want, because that's what inspires people. That's what will keep them going. And not everyone, one of the things you want to model for people is the ability to have more variety in their emotions. And so you can modeling that through your voice, but you will need that for different people. You're going to take them in a different direction, then this will sub-communicate to them. This is the direction to go in. It's just a wonderful thing. Once you start living from this place, you will see that everywhere. You'll see it in all the communication. When it's going well, the tonality and the voice is being used in a similar. When it's not so great, even when the words are great, the logic of the words are great, the logical framing is correct. It's the emotional framing you've got to get right. And so we're going to have a lot of fun with this next week, and we'll take that in and we'll start exploring lots of different ways we can use symbolic language. We'll get down lots of time for practice, lots of time after next week to really take this and apply it to different areas so we can use it for personal growth, our own personal growth, and transforming our clients. So I just want to say thank you again, guys, for coming along. It's really lovely to see you. Really appreciate you sharing and all the work that you're doing and seeing how you're using it in your life. Look, honestly, this is the tip of the iceberg for what we can do with this. So we'll keep on using this, playing with it, and have fun. You know, just have fun with it and enjoy it, because it's a very, very forgiving process. It's a really forgiving process, particularly when you have pauses and you can fall back on these tonalities. You know, if somebody needs a little bit of help to be able to get a metaphor or develop it. Okay. So thank you again. Have a wonderful time. Have a wonderful rest of the day, wherever you are, or evening. And I'll speak with you all soon, and I'll see you. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. And take care.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you all.
Thanks a lot, Richard.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Ciao for now.